After more than 2 years of conflict, Ukraine's skies continue to face constant threats from hundreds of missiles and drones launched from Russia. Amid the increasingly fierce war, one name stands out as a vital shield and a symbol of commitment and political support from allies for Kiev. The Patriot air defense system. It is one of the most advanced air defense systems in the world, designed to intercept ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and fighter aircraft. In a surprising development, US President Donald Trump has reversed the decision to suspend military aid to Ukraine, announcing that additional defensive weapons would be provided to Kyiv. On July 9, when asked by a reporter whether he would consider supplying Ukraine with another Patriot air defense system, President Trump stated that the system is very rare and very expensive.
Weighing whether to send another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. Can you confirm that reporting?
They would like it. They've asked for it. They're very rare indeed, because a lot of systems have been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to. I know they made the request. We're going to have to take a look at it. It's very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president. That's a terrible, terrible war over there, and it's really a shame. It's very sad. When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Also on Russia.
Yesterday, sir, as well, Ukraine was hit by over 700 drones sent by Russia last night. What's your response to that attack?
Well, I've been sort of letting people know I'm not happy about what's going on. It's a war that should have never happened. It should not happen now. They're losing. Now it's up. I've been saying 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000. Think of it, 7,000 people a week on both sides. 7,000 people, young, mostly military people, young souls, are dead.
On the same day, German media outlet NTV quoted a spokesperson from the US weapons manufacturer Raytheon, which produces Patriot systems and their accompanying missiles, stating that they plan to increase the monthly production of PAC-2 GEM-T missiles by 150% by 2028, due to unprecedented demand. According to the German outlet, as of early 2024, only about 240 missiles were produced annually. Each Patriot missile is estimated to cost around $4 million. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz also expressed gratitude for the signal from Washington regarding the reconsideration of its commitment to air defense support for Ukraine. Speaking at a press conference alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Merz announced that Germany would co-host an online meeting with a coalition of nations willing to support Ukraine within the framework of the Rome Conference to discuss further details on continued assistance, particularly air defense systems.
Wir werden uns morgen in Rom treffen, auch noch einmal über die Zeit nach.
We will meet tomorrow in Rome to also discuss the time after a possible ceasefire, but we will also have a video conference with this so-called coalition of the willing during the conference in Rome and discuss some more details about further deliveries and further support for Ukraine. In particular, further air defense systems are up for decision. I will also make corresponding offers that we could realize from Germany. But I am confident that we will succeed. The French president and I have spoken about this several times. The employees are also talking about it. We are also preparing the next meetings with the French government. And I very much hope that, just like the joint tank project, we will succeed in achieving joint European procurement. But these procurements must be in line with the requirements I have just described, less complex, although this is particularly difficult, with an aircraft like the FCAS. I am grateful that there are also signals from Washington that support for Kiev's air defense is now being reconsidered. We have therefore discussed in particular how we can work together to strengthen Ukraine's air defense. I won't go into details, but I can say this much. Germany will continue to make a substantial contribution to this.
President Zelensky is currently in Italy to attend a conference held from July 10 to 11, focusing on the long-term recovery and reconstruction of Ukraine following the war with Russia. During the event, Pope Leo told President Zelensky that the Vatican is ready to host peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. This marks the second meeting between the Pope and the Ukrainian leader since Pope Leo assumed the papacy 2 months ago. In their discussions, both sides addressed the urgent need for a just and lasting peace. The meeting between Zelensky and Pope Leo took place in Castel Gandolfo, a small hilltop town near Rome where the Pope is on a 2-week retreat. The Vatican did not disclose the duration of the meeting between Pope Leo and Zelensky. The Vatican only released a video showing Pope Leo asking Zelensky in English, "How are things going?" as the two conversed in a large room. Just 5 months ago, US President Donald Trump stunned the international community by taking a stance heavily favoring Moscow in his role as a mediator for the over 3-year-long conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Trump had publicly expressed confidence in the peaceful intentions of Russian President Vladimir Putin amid a series of high-level meetings between Washington and Moscow aimed at finding a diplomatic resolution to the Ukraine issue. However, in recent days, Trump's stance has shifted significantly. During a cabinet meeting held after Trump expressed dissatisfaction with his latest phone call with the Russian president, the US leader declared his displeasure with Putin, sharply criticizing him by stating that President Putin only talks nonsense. When asked about the criticisms directed by US President Donald Trump at Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Kremlin stated that Moscow remains calm in response to these remarks and will continue efforts to mend the strained US-Russia relationship.
Вы знаете, мы достаточно спокойно к этому относимся. Ну, во-первых, скажем так,
we are quite calm about this. First of all, Trump has, so to speak, a rather tough style in terms of the phrases he uses and so on. We also heard a very important statement by Trump that the settlement of the Ukrainian conflict turned out to be much more difficult than he thought from the very beginning. This is what we've been saying from the very beginning, that it is not possible to resolve the conflict overnight. Therefore, we are calm about this. We expect to continue our dialogue with Washington and our line on repairing the rather broken bilateral relations. We also expect that despite all the decisions to resume arms supplies to Ukraine and so on, although no one has actually stopped any supplies, but even despite this, we still expect that Trump and his team will continue their efforts to bring the Ukrainian regulation process to the political and diplomatic plane. You know that Russia is now expecting a proposal from the Ukrainian side for a third round of peace talks. This should be in the interests of the Ukrainian side because the situation on the ground is changing daily. We are moving forward, and every new day the Ukrainian side will have to agree with new realities.
Каждый новый день украинской стороне придется соглашаться с новыми реалиями.
Regarding developments on the ground, Reuters cited officials in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, stating that air defense units in the city were actively working to repel a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) attack in the early hours of July 10. In a statement on the Telegram app, Timur Takorchenko, head of Kyiv's military administration, reported that a UAV struck the roof of an apartment building in central Kyiv, while debris from several other UAVs fell across various parts of the city. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that the airstrike involved 741 drones and missiles, surpassing the previous record of 539 UAVs on July 4th. The Russian attack, primarily targeting the northwestern city of Lutsk, was so intense that it prompted the Polish military to scramble aircraft out of its airspace. Meanwhile, on the evening of July 8, a Ukrainian drone attack on a beach in the Russian city of Kursk killed 3 people including a Russian serviceman involved in rescue operations and injured 7 others. At the scene, authorities recovered UAV fragments and various damaging elements, indicating the attack was intended to cause civilian casualties.
This crime is absolutely unprecedented in its brutality and cynicism. The beach within the city limits of Kursk was hit. According to preliminary data, it was hit by a drone. As a result of these actions, 3 people died, including a member of Russia's National Guard.
Tonight, the Ukrainian armed groups attacked with a drone one of the buildings of the Rilsk Central District Hospital, as well as buildings of an ambulance service and the agricultural firm Rilskoy. As a result, 2 women have been wounded and civilian infrastructure has been damaged significantly.
In response to the aforementioned incidents, the Central Military Investigation Department of the Russian Federal Investigative Committee has initiated criminal cases under Article 205 of the Russian Criminal Code related to the charge of terrorism. The investigation is ongoing to clarify the related details.